Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the Slappin Kpop podcast. I am Kayla, and today I am joined with Lucas.
Hello.
And Maria.
Hey, everybody.
And so to give a little bit of background onto why this podcast is happening, I've named the script for this the Anti-Island podcast because Dan, mostly just Dan, but Dan and Sammy talk about Island all the time, that we literally just have to move them to like a separate like voice chat to talk about it because me and Lucas or like Maria like do not care at all the slightest.
Yeah, I think it's just a combination of Dan being very emotionally invested in this show.
Dan is so invested into
He is
Island.
way too emotionally invested, and every time we have to hear about it, we just hear him like on the brink of tears just be like, he almost got voted out and I don't know what to do, and it's just a lot of emotions to handle.
It's a lot.
We prefer
he's been a little
not to
better
listen to it.
he's been a little better in recent days, but like when he first started Island, it was like impossible to talk to him about anything but Island. Like impossible.
Like every single time he would join the voice channel, he was like, so I watched the new episode of Island, and then Sammy was like, oh yeah,
please
it's okay.
Go away.
Let's talk. And Sammy was fine about it, and then it was just, no, you can't talk about anything else.
We're just like, please no.
No,
please,
yeah, exactly.
No, please take this
We actually
somewhere
have
else.
a freaking voice channel called Dan's Timeout channel, and we just throw him in there every time he tries to talk about Island.
From time to time.
Just kick him out, or just like go
Dan,
be in your timeout
stop.
corner.
Yeah, poor Dan.
But anyway, so while they're off in the timeout corner talking about Island, me and Lucas usually end up talking about anime.
And then I pop in and talk about.
Maria is very much into anime right now.
Yes, you can blame the pandemic and Avatar: The Last Airbender for giving me a thirst for 2D looking animation again, and just like, I don't know, just kind of being like, oh yeah, I used to kind of watch certain shows here and there, movies, and so I just kind of jumped shit and dived back into it. Like, oh my goodness, I could talk about it later too, what I've seen so far, but I've watched a good amount in like, what, a month or 3 weeks at this point, which is kind of insane, but yeah, I'm having a time.
Yeah, I think I've kind of jumped back into. I watched.
You have, and you've tried to convince me to get back into it, and I cannot.
That's the thing. What is it? Maria's jumped in, like dived in off the
I've
top
dived
balcony.
into the bottom.
I've dipped my toes back here and there, but the thing is that just because of, how jobs work, Maria's not in the voice chat as often as Kayla and I are. So I'm trying to get Kayla to get back into anime so that I have an excuse to do it, because if we watch stuff together, I don't know, I can see Kayla more often just because of, schedules. So I'm like, Kayla, please do this so that I don't feel bad being into anime. But it is not working, so.
No, because I feel like if I get back into anime, that's just like a bad idea. Like,
it's probably a bad idea.
Well, it also depends on what shows you watch too, For me,
Yeah,
I've been going after shows that I've heard are at least, a solid good and not trash, because I'm like, okay, I want to watch something that's general consistency is at least decent quality, and we'll see.
That's
if
the
I like
problem.
I refuse to watch anything that's over like 40 episodes. Like that's not
problem,
a time investment I am willing to put in anymore.
Also, you're gonna just run out of stuff to watch, and then you're just gonna have to watch trash, and you're gonna just feel horrible about yourself. That's what I'm expecting. I'll be like, oh yeah, there's all this stuff I can catch up on, and then once I do that, I'm like, I have a void in my life that can only be filled with anime. What do I fill it with?
I mean,
Garbage.
for me, there's like a huge backlog of stuff that I want to watch, older and newer. So it's just kind of like, I'll take my time. I mean, well, I have been going through quite a few quickly, but I mean, I'll take my time trugging through it, especially for the longer shows, because
definitely.
you can't just watch those shows in one day. Because there's certain shows, if it's like around 11, 12, or 13 episodes, like, you could watch in one day if you decide to dedicate,
I have very often done that.
I have too. I've watched like 12 episode shows in a day. I've definitely done that before.
It's like, what, 3 hours, 4 hours? It's super easy.
They're not like 20. It's like, because now I'm used to watching kdramas, so I'm like unused to episodes being like only 24 minutes long. So you can just like knock them out.
Plus intro, outro, it's like sometimes even, and if the pacing's particularly bad, I sometimes just skip through like the long dragging shots, and I'm just like, okay, now this episode is like 10 minutes. Awesome.
Nice. But speaking of intro and outros, that's sort of what we're here to talk about today. Is we're going to talk about sort of the intersection between K-pop and anime, because this is still kind of a K-pop podcast.
It's slowly turning into Asian media podcasts.
It's fine. Just ignore the fact that K-pop is in the name of the title of this podcast.
Yes.
But so we have 3 sort of topics that we're going to talk about today. The first one is groups, K-pop groups that have done anime openings or endings. And we're going to talk about the ones that we like a lot, and then just sort of give a mention to like some of the other ones, the other groups and songs that have also done anime openings. So after that, we are also going to talk about some of the K-pop groups that have not made anime openings yet or endings, but groups that we think would make really good anime openings and endings. And then lastly, we're going to sort of talk about just the intersection of K-pop and anime, because I've noticed that almost every single person I know who likes K-pop either still watches anime or used to be into anime and transitioned into K-pop. So we're sort of going to talk about that and why we think that is sort of a thing that exists within the fandoms. So, to start things off, one of my personal favorite anime, it's an ending actually, made by a K-pop group, is 2PM, and they did the first ending for Blue Exorcist called Take Off. And so I got into K-pop like way after I was really into anime, and I had watched Blue Exorcist, and this was one of my favorite anime endings, just like generally, because it's really good. It's a really cool song, and I had no idea that 2PM was the group that sang it.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled across like an article that was like, oh, K-pop artists that have done anime endings, and 2PM was on there, and I was like, oh, I wonder what they've done. And then it was like Blue Exorcist ending 1. I was like, oh my god, it's like my favorite song.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
My favorite thing about this episode is literally the throwbacks that we've been taking, because I had to go back and rewatch a bunch of these, and watching 2PM in like 360p, like singing a Blue Exorcist ending, ooh, that brought me back in time,
360p.
Dude. I was like, I have not watched Blue Exorcist in like since it came out, I think.
Like literal years, yeah.
It's like been a decade almost or something like that. And so like re-listening to this song in like 360p on YouTube was like an experience.
Wow.
Season 2 of Blue Exorcist is coming to Netflix soon, by the way.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah.
I might need to rewatch Blue Exorcist again.
Yeah,
I
need to as well.
I couldn't remember what was happening.
I don't remember any of that show at all.
I do not remember.
I don't remember any of the characters' names. I don't remember anything.
No. I got like the 2 main characters. I can imagine them in my head, but like other than that, I don't know what they're doing.
I can imagine the front cover of volume 1 of the manga,
yeah.
which is like the only thing. Mm-hmm. Like it's him with the blue flames around him, and it's like something. That's all I remember. Yeah. I have no recollection of anything about that show, but I remember not hating it, so maybe I should go.
It's like it's like not a bad show. It's like mediocre, but there's really nothing about it that I find that's like super that stands out a lot, which is why I cannot remember the details of it at all.
Yeah,
but
I remember it being kind of generic, but kind of okay.
It's pretty generic, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Moving on. Maria, do you want to talk about
Yes, I get to talk about our Lord and Savior Boa. Love her.
Oh, yes.
Love her music. I mean, at this point, newer K-pop fans, if you're listening, if you haven't already, just go listen to Boa. She is mainly the reason why there is a crossover with Korean artists and Japan at this point, because she was the first success story, and along with being the first success story from there, she was also one of the first to do songs for animes, in particular the iconic Inuyasha, which is a show that I really need to get into at some point. But she did Every Heart for that show, and it's a nice song. It's, it got that 20s pop vibe to, 2000s pop vibe. Really nice and smooth, great song. And then another one she did was for the anime A Fairy Tale, Masayuma Chasing, which I absolutely adore that song. It's probably my favorite. That song is
so good.
It's probably my
favorite song.
Is it one of the openings?
Yes.
It's opening 15 of A Fairy Tale.
Okay, then I did not watch that.
To be specific.
Yes.
Okay.
I've only seen a couple episodes of Fairy Tale. I absolutely adore Masayuma Chasing. It's probably my favorite song so far, done by someone from the K-pop sphere for an anime opening. It's fantastic. I adore it. It's just so much fun, and I think compared to other like fairy tale openings, I think it's the most poppy of the bunch, if I remember correctly.
I would, yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think it's like the most.
I know like essentially all of fairy tale openings through like 16 or 17. And of the ones I can remember, there's like one or two in there that are kind of poppy, but it definitely is like a lot of them are more on like the J-rock side, so
yeah,
it's definitely more poppy.
AKA most anime is mostly J-rock, and then when it's not, it's just kind of like, ooh, a pleasant surprise.
Which is pretty, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's Boa, fantastic artist. I mean, she did a couple openings for some, I say, pretty well known and sometimes pretty regarded shows. Check them out. She's great.
But maybe don't check out Fairy Tail. I hate that show.
Yeah, maybe not.
No, stop it. I've watched all of it.
I've heard good things about Fairy Tail, but I know
I've watched all of it. I've read the entire manga. I
Oh
love
my
Fairy
God.
Tail. I love it. Stop.
Is the manga done for Fairy Tail?
The manga is done. It's done.
It's
now.
very done. It's very done.
It's so Fairy
And
Tail
then-
is like the epitome of like the power of friendship.
It's so
anime.
power of friendship.
That is
I don't
just
get
like
it.
what it is.
Shoot
But
a
you know
friendship
what?
laser.
That's not a bad thing.
When our powers combine.
It's so good. I love it so much.
But you know what? Friendship's not a bad thing, guys.
I
It's
hate
great.
friendship. No, I'm joking. I love
Damn, why do you even talk to us?
This is definitely the longest anime that I had committed myself to and watched like all of, so I enjoyed it a lot.
Speaking of really long animes that I've committed way too much time to, can I talk about the next one?
You
course.
can.
Potentially the biggest group to do an anime opening at the time, definitely. Right?
Yeah.
At the time, probably is TVXQ's opening for One Piece. Now I need to apologize because I feel terrible about this, but I am current still in the One Piece manga. One Piece
Why
is
would you feel
the
terrible?
only I don't watch or read or do anything anime or manga related as of like maybe 2 years ago. I kind of stopped, but I'm still current in the One Piece manga. We are currently at chapter 988.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
I have read every single one.
Oh my god.
I feel
So
terrible
long.
about myself. But my favorite thing about this is technically this was the first K-pop song I ever heard. It's like the Japanese but I can give myself props for not knowing it was TVXQ because on the official One Piece wiki it says that this is the 11th opening for the One Piece anime sung by Toho Shinki, which is their Japanese name, which is like okay, and then it has it in Korean, which is Dongban Shinki, which is DBSK, which is technically TVXQ's alternate name, I found out, which is very confusing, and I give myself, not a bad time for, not knowing that. That was TVXQ in, 2013 when I watched that? So, I'm pretty happy about this. Actually, while re-listening to this, I remembered how amazing this opening is. I think it was, probably it was probably my second favorite One Piece opening at the when I was watching the show. I think opening 7 is still my favorite. But I think 11 is a close second. It's really good. But yeah, it was only when I got into K-pop and I was like, oh, TVXQ. And then I remember just watching the anime opening again as a joke, a couple, maybe a year ago, and then being like, wait, this is TVXQ. I heard Changmin's voice. I was like, okay, that is, wait, what? And freaking out and then finding out it was TVXQ and being like, that's insane. I can't believe this. It was the same thing where it was going back in time and realizing that your favorite anime opening was in fact a K-pop group.
It's a fun time, I'll tell you that. One Piece, I feel is one of those shows too. I don't know if I'll watch it, but I
don't think
wanna
you have
read
to.
it. I want to
Yeah,
read it,
okay.
because I think it'll be quicker.
Okay, the way I did it, and I think the way I will recommend everyone else do it, for those of you who have not watched any One Piece, it's a very difficult show to get into just because of the sheer size of it. But if you were to at least attempt it, I would say watch it until the major time skip, which is halfway through, and then after that you can read it. Because I do think that the anime before the time skip is very good, and the manga.
How many episodes is it to major time skip?
500.
So you want us? So let me repeat that. You want us to watch 500 episodes?
I'm
so
saying,
if you want to watch One Piece,
or do you want to read 988 chapters?
But do you want to watch 500?
Well, for me, I read quickly. So, and since it's
okay. The thing is that how do I? You could No, I think you should watch up till, and then after that, you should watch 500 episodes, and then after that, you can definitely just skip and like not, because Sabori. Oh, actually, no. Maybe you do have to watch more. Sorry, 522. 522. You can watch 522 episodes, and that's including all of the filler that you can just throw out into the garbage. Because there's only one filler arc that actually matters, and it's only like 10 episodes. And that you can watch. But everything else you could just throw in the garbage.
Wait,
every
if it matters, why is it a filler
thriller
arc,
besides G8 you can throw in the garbage.
Okay.
Because it's worthless. And actually, you can just skip one real arc because it was filler in the manga. They just made this thing up that didn't matter, but then they put it in the anime and claimed it was real. Which was the Foxy arc, which is stupid and you do not have to watch because it is the worst, most garbage
you should write this down for
portion
me
of One
later.
Piece. It's so bad.
I'm not gonna remember
it's literally
this.
garbage. But that's like 26 episodes that you don't have to watch. Plus like maybe another 100 that you don't. So you only have to watch like 400.
So only like 400.
Only like 400. And then after that, you'll be at chapter around 600. So then you only have to read 300 chapters. Almost 400. So yeah, you only have to watch 400 episodes, read 400 chapters. That seems fair.
Honestly,
That's
I'm just
doable.
impressed
A time commitment I want to make.
I'm just impressed this mangaka was able to write this.
Oh, Ichiro Oda
Still
is...
going. He's fucking
This
insane, man.
freaking... Do you know Volume 1 came out in 1997 in Japan?
That's like 1 year below
He's
me.
23 years now.
This has been in print for 23 years.
The scene has been in print my whole lifetime, practically.
Yeah.
My whole lifetime.
This manga is older than you, Lucas, I think.
It is much older
It's
than me.
older than you.
It's much older than I am.
It's only 2 years older than you.
But the thing is that the way that I definitely caught up with One Piece was I took 2 months of a when I was in high school, one summer vacation, I took 2 months and literally did nothing but watched like 6 hours of One Piece every single day for like 2 months.
God.
That was what I did.
Damn.
And
My
I caught
God.
up in like 2 months. It was bad.
But
it
then
was
again,
like
at the
what
time,
I did with
there
my
was
life.
like less episodes and chapters than two.
Yeah,
so.
when I finished, it was like 2014, and in 2014, I think when I caught up, it was there's only 500 episodes when I caught up.
Oh wow.
Now there are 907. So
many. So many.
yeah, I've
Also-
been current for 4 years, I think.
Wow.
4 or 5 years, something
Dang.
like that. Especially since it was like, watching 6 hours of anime a day, and then now I have to wait 2 weeks for one chapter, and it's like,
got you. I mean, it's not
but,
the worst
yeah.
thing though,
But yeah, it's
That's what
still
happened with me in Fairy Tail is I caught up to wherever the anime was at, was I think like 175 or something episodes. And then it was on a hiatus for a long time. And so then I went and caught up with the manga, and that went another like I don't even know how many chapters, but then I had to watch or wait for the entire like last 2 arcs of it like weekly.
Wow.
yeah, I had to wait for like 4 years, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So it's still going. And
Yeah.
the end is Insight, but it's kind of questionable.
like you don't
It's
know
like
how long it's
there's
gonna get there.
there's a potential ending, but we're not sure. Like people have like theorized that there's like a potential ending, but it's just like a it could end, but we don't know. People are saying that it's definitely going to be over in the next like 2 years. Like he can't milk it that much more because it's like I can't spoil anything,
like,
but
almost all of the majorly long animes have like ended at this point too.
Yeah.
So it's like Bleach is done. Naruto has been doing weird stuff now.
Yeah, they have Boruto.
It technically
Boruto's
ended,
done.
but it's like
It ended, but it's got like the kids thing going on now.
it's stupid. Boruto doesn't
Yeah.
count.
But
Dragon
anyway.
Ball Super's like I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's
with
going
that.
on with Dragon Ball. I don't follow.
I know
Dragon
there's
Ball.
JoJo.
I don't
know
either.
what's
It's
happening
really
with Dragon
dumb.
Ball.
There's JoJo. I know that one's still on.
JoJo's is still
JoJo.
going on. JoJo's is still going on. Part 8 or yeah, part 8's still going on right now. So, and it's bizarre. I do not
As
like
it
part
would
8.
say in the title,
Part 8's
Bizarre Adventures.
There's other
It is
parts of JoJo
bizarre.
that
It
are
does not
fine.
make sense.
Bizarre.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So enough One Piece.
More. I could talk about One Piece for days.
No more One Piece. The next one is is a more recent show by a more recent K-pop group. So Stray Kids did the opening for the Tower of God called Top, and so Tower of God is a webcomic that I knew of that existed, because I read a lot of webcomics these days, but I think I read like 3 chapters of it and like did not like it at all, and so I just like forgot about it and dropped it, and then I eventually heard, I was like, oh, it's getting turned into an anime and Stray Kids is doing an opening, so wow. So this song like does not sound at all like it's a K-pop or like an anime opening.
Yeah, it does not. I was
It
very
sounds like a
so
K-pop
much
song
just
in
like
Japanese.
rapping in it. It's so weird.
It's so much rap. I'm not used to rap in my anime opening.
It's just a Stray Kid. The thing is, it's just a Stray Kids song.
It's just a
But
Stray
for
Kids
some
song.
reason, they decided to use it as an anime opening, and it's just like it's not really working out that
Yeah.
well.
That's why I'm confused, because like Stray Kids don't really do Japanese releases anyway. Like they
No.
didn't really do any, and then they just decided, yes, we're doing anime opening, and I did not understand it. It did not make sense.
Like if I was gonna pick a group that like was just gonna have an anime opening, Stray Kids would be like number like 100 on that list.
Yeah, they're so K-pop. Yeah, they're so
They're
like
so K-pop,
that. I don't think
and
I
there's
couldn't
just so
imagine.
much rapping. There's so
Yeah.
much in like the rapping K-pop like genre that it just like. Why are we using that as an anime opening?
Yeah,
I mean,
because
the
what is
only-
it? J-rock / J-pop is so different that it's like
Yeah.
really hard to like cross over.
Yeah. I mean, the only opening that I know of for sure, I haven't seen the show, but I really want to as well, is Samurai Champloo. I know that one's done by
Yeah, it does.
That's the only one I can think of off the bat that's like, that is pure hip-hop opening. And it also, I like that song. It sounds so good. I love R.I.P.
But yeah, that's like
There's a
even
lot of
then,
anime openings that aren't in the J-rock like sound, but Stray Kids is just so like distinctly like the K-pop rap
Oh, yeah.
that it's just really
Yeah.
like it's like jarring that that's what they chose for the opening.
Yeah, that's the thing, because Samurai Champloo is definitely like a very Japanese rap, where it's like, you know, they kind of take influence from like the, you know, the early 90s like Biggie and like Tupac style sound, like
Oh, yeah. There's
that
like
kind of
clearly,
sound.
there's definitely a West Coast, like East Coast vibe. In
Yeah, West
Japanese
Coast.
rap.
Like, yeah, it's like that. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's definitely like a more like jazzy, like, you know, more like
No, yeah, that's
it's
New
very
Japan's-
Japanese
yeah.
rap. It's very much like Eastern inspired,
Yes.
but it's still like weirdly their own. It's like it still sounds like it would fit, but what's it called? The freaking Stray Kids. It's just K-pop, which
It's
makes
just-
me so confused.
It's just a K-pop song, but it's in Japanese.
I'm very not.
You could argue that's the
don't know
case
how to
for a
respond.
lot of crossovers.
And Tower of God
of-
is like it's just like so generic too.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not a big
plot-wise-
webcomic person, but I'm not gonna start because of Tower of God.
Yeah. And so it's not even like it's got like an interesting plot that would sort of like, I don't know, like excuse the fact that it's like not your typical anime opening. Like it's not like weird or anything. It's got like pretty generic plot line in terms of like anime goes. So, but I don't know.
It doesn't
it's
deserve
just,
a very weird.
It's just
opening
very
yet.
confusing. It's very confusing to me.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of webcomics, the other one we're going to talk
Another
about is CIX did the anime opening for another webcomic.
It's the
Is it? Oh yeah, it is the ending. They did
Yeah.
the ending for the new anime that's coming out. I don't think it started yet, which is the God of High School. They did their song called Win. And okay, I heard it. It's definitely more J-pop than the Stray Kids song, but it is still very K-pop.
Yeah.
But it's still better.
Six has at least released like actual like Japanese.
Yeah,
like,
they've had
specific
Japanese like
songs.
official releases.
Yeah.
That are good. So
That
I was
isn't
like,
just like a K-pop song that they are singing in Japanese. It's like an actual Japan
Yeah.
specific song.
and yeah, I like the song. It's good. It's just different. And I don't think BX even does that much in the song. I don't really remember his part. So I don't think I think he has like this weird bridge thing, but that's it. And like obviously that's not going to be in the song, like in the ending, because
In the actual opening.
Yeah, I don't think it actually
They're
made
probably
it
gonna
in.
cut it out.
Yeah. So I think it sounds fine, and it's just it's just Jin Young and Sung Hoon, just vocals most of the time, and I think that's it. It's like pretty normal. It's not like, and the webcomic's also very not,
This webcomic I think is probably worse than Tower of God.
somehow worse.
I am like not in like at all interested in reading either of those. So
I think the title by itself indicates the quality that it's going to be. The God of High School
The God
is not something I'm
High
very.
School.
That sounds very not.
That's
great.
just not a thing am interested in reading these days.
Yeah, these days it's
No.
not in my
Yeah.
to watch list.
Just to give a shout out to a couple of other groups who have done anime openings that are good. We just don't care about the anime as much, really.
Mm-hmm.
So FT Island has done one. So it's UKISS, Cross Gene, A Pink, Yuna did a Bleach ending, so that's cool. SS501, Secret, M Black, Boyfriend did a Detective Conan, I think ending.
I'm
and
pretty
then
sure it's
Kara
an ending.
Did
Yeah.
a Naruto
Ending.
yeah.
I actually did re-listen to the Yonha Bleach ending because I watched most of Bleach, at least the parts that matter. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that one. It was like okay. It wasn't like anything great. It was just a good J-pop ending. So it was like,
Yes. So to move on to our next item of discussion here. So this is groups that haven't made anime openings, but we think would make really good anime openings. And so there's kind of like a theme going on here.
there's a small theme.
Little thing.
So I think Dreamcatcher is probably one of the most obvious ones.
Yeah.
Because
they basically They make
they just make J-rock
anime opening.
music.
Yeah, they make J-rock essentially.
Their
That's
songs
just
are
in
just
Korean.
anime.
Not
openings.
completely though. As a Dreamcatcher fan, it's not lately. It's been not completely J-rock sound, but like for a good while, most of their
Deja
title tracks
Vu
were
is
very
just an anime opening.
yeah.
Deja
A
Vu
lot
is
of them.
an anime opening.
They absolutely should, and it's probably because they're from a smaller company and not as well known that I don't think they've had that yet. But they have been releasing songs in Japanese though, so I'm hoping something, they get an opportunity to do a cool opening someday. But they're to me they're the most obvious choice because it's pretty clear you can see the influence in their music. It's kind of like, and plus to the looks of it, they can pronounce Japanese pretty well from what I hear. So
Yeah, they speak pretty well.
yeah.
And so, in the similar theme, we have And Flying, Day 6, and Lucy, who are all bands. Yeah. And I feel like And Flying in particular releases a lot of just like Japanese music, because they have a relatively large Japanese fan base. And so I feel like they definitely have like the right sound for anime opening. I think the biggest problem with them is that their pronunciation isn't great. It's still very has a Korean accent. So I think that's probably the biggest thing of it, because they do come from a larger company too.
Yeah,
like
FNC
CN Blue
pushes
and FT Island both did anime openings. So it's like the opportunity is probably there, and I think their music style is good, but I think like pronunciation wise they probably just have to work on that more.
Because FNC pushes their Japanese stuff pretty
They
heavily.
do. And
Yeah.
Flying like trained and like released music in Japan for like 2 years before they even debuted. So
FT Island did something
Reference-
similar as well. So they seem
yes,
to like
all their bands they
Yeah.
do that too. So
yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
seems to be a
that
theme.
sound is very popular in Japan, so they know that
Yeah.
they can capitalize on it. Yeah, and then I think the other one, Day 6, has their Japanese releases are very, very good and are very J-Rock inspired, and then they
Yeah.
also just made Time of Our Life, which is the most,
Yeah.
it's really funny because what is it, the React to the K YouTube channel just released their like reaction to it, and Kevin, one of the reactors, was like, wow, this is just the Fruit Basket opening, and he played the Fruit Basket opening, and it's literally like one of the lines that he like recognized is like just the exact same like melodic
exactly
line.
the same.
It's like Fruit Basket, and it's like, oh, this is really funny. It's because it's like the running motif at the beginning, like da 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 da, da, which is like the the running motif, like the let's go forward, and then they played like one of the sections of the chorus, and it's like, wow, that's the exact same melodic line as the Fruit Basket.
So Day
opening.
6 is just releasing anime openings.
They're just
Actual
releasing anime openings.
They're doing it
Actual
without
anime
even
openings.
trying.
It's like, wow, this is just a good anime opening. Let's just do that.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. And they're like Japanese releases like Breaking Down and Finale. I
You
think
know what
are
confuses
very,
me as to
very
why
J-pop.
Stray Kids got an anime opening, but Day
And Day
6 did
6
not.
JYP.
It's like,
What?
Yeah, what the hell?
so confusing.
JYP, you gave it to the wrong group.
That's just a realization I made. I was like, wait, they're in the same company.
That's the same company.
Jeez.
What? Why did Stray Kids? Imagine if freaking Day 6 got it, and they could make the freaking Tower of God open.
It would have
Oh my
made
God.
so
Probably
much
has something
more
to do with
sense. Everything
marketing
makes
and
more
just
sense.
who's more popular at the moment. Because let's be real.
Isn't
here.
Jay also a huge anime fan too? I'm pretty sure he is.
Oh yeah, pretty sure he is.
He is.
That makes sense. That would it would make sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then
So
we
we
can
just have
talk
two
about
other
some
groups. Yeah, we have two other groups here that are just kind of random.
that we just like and think should make the music.
So we have Pentagon and 17, which 17 makes really good Japanese music.
Yeah, their Japanese releases are solid.
Yeah.
So
And that would just be fun. They would, I think, definitely release one of the more like poppy anime openings, but I can definitely see them. having
yeah,
a
I
really
think
cool
the
one.
song that really pushed it over the edge was Falling Flower. Being,
Yeah.
like, very Japanese J-pop, like, you know. Like,
They had
I could
a-
100% sing that being an opening.
They had a recent Japanese song too.
24 Hours, yeah. That's
Pretty
also
good.
pretty heavily into
song.
it.
Yeah. The Falling Flower is very
Is
that
very,
could that
like,
could
you know.
I could see that as like an opening for like Your Lie in April or something like that.
Yeah, like, yeah, or like, I'm trying to think. Probably a shonen series. I could see it. That's like a little bit softer. I'm trying to think. I don't know anime anymore, so I can't remember.
I know.
any,
I like don't
current-
know recent animes.
I
at
do not
all,
know recent
so.
animes, so I could not tell you. But, and then Pentagon. I think we just think Pentagon's sound is pretty. You know, that
Like,
right
they don't-
amount of pop that you could like. You know.
They don't release like super Japanese music, but like if they were given like the right song, I feel like they'd be able to execute it like really well.
Exactly.
They have
They have a Japanese member, so you know.
They do.
They
And they
do.
have a Japanese song called Happiness that I really like. I think it's really cute.
Yeah, they also have a Japanese version of Shine, which kind of doesn't count, but it's pretty decent. They did a good job with it. So,
Yeah.
all of their pronunciation is pretty good. Then again, they do have a Japanese member who can, like, you know,
That
help
probably
them, 'cause
helps. Yeah.
Yuto's just like, this is how you do it. Nope, that's wrong. This is how you pronounce it, and it's okay. So it's like, we think that they could, like, you know, do some fun stuff with it.
And then so to move on to our last section here is sort of just talking about why we think the two fandoms of like anime and K-pop overlap so much and why so many people seem to make the transition from being like into anime from anime into K-pop and like why that just happens so often.
Yeah,
Or even
I was
reverse.
saying before this started, we were just kind of talking, and I was like, I was trying to think of the last like Western show or like Western TV or movie that I was genuinely excited for, and I watched because I wanted to watch it, not because everyone else was like either peer pressured or someone was like, oh, we're going to go to the movies, do you want to come with me, or something like that. And the last TV show that I can remember was Chuck, which was because I watched that because it was right when the entire show like ended and went on Netflix, and I watched that. And I think, and then I kind of didn't hate Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I didn't like want to watch it. I just kind of watched it because my dad got really into it and he started just watching it, and I'd watch it like every once in a while, and I wouldn't hate it, but I didn't like seek it out. Mm-hmm. So I think that's like technically the last time I watched an American show.
Yeah, for me it was well, I still am into like the Disney and like Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But in terms of like actual TV shows, like Game of Thrones, like last season was the last thing I really watched and cared about, and it was like the most disappointing thing I ever watched in my life.
That makes sense.
So
I don't blame you.
That, like the Western TV shows were just like I'm not gonna watch them anymore, I guess. I saw someone made a tweet once where that explained why they got into K-pop from anime, was that they discovered that K-pop is just like anime boys in real life.
That's...
And so once you...
I mean, that's not a lie.
That's a call out.
It's not a lie.
That's a big call out.
Not a lie there.
Excuse me, don't call me out like that.
Oh.
That's a subtweet if I've ever seen it. Oh boy.
Oh boy,
oh my.
indeed.
That hurts. That hurts me. That hit somewhere deep inside of me that I did not know. Oh, no.
Same, fam. It's just, I mean, where's the lie, though? Where is the lie?
I know, like, where is the lie, actually?
Breathe. You're okay. What? It all makes sense. It all makes sense. Oh, no.
You could say the same thing, too, for the girls as well.
Yeah, anime
it's
girls
like
are
anime
100% just, Korean
K-pop idols, yeah.
K-pop idols are just anime girls and anime boys in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
clearly.
And another thing we sort of discussed before we started recording was that it's sort of like because we were talking about how like disappointed we've been in Western media in recent days, and so but like Asian media seems to be like just better. So if you're into like one form of Asian media like anime, it's pretty easy to jump from like, I know a lot of people have jumped from like anime to like J-dramas to K-dramas because that's like a very like easy pathway you can see happening. And so I've known a lot of people who have gotten into K-pop through doing K-dramas first and then into K-pop, because you'll look up the actors and then you'll see like someone's a K-pop idol or whatever. So that's pretty
that makes sense.
a reason
yeah.
why. And so it's like, because for me, from watching K-dramas, like I got from anime to K-pop and then into K-dramas. Now I'm much more open to watching like Chinese dramas or Thai dramas just because they're all sort of in like a similar style. Like they're different between each country, but and like the way the shows are formatted, you'll see like tropes and everything for different countries, like dramas. But they're so more similar to each other the way they're formatted than anything like Western is. And there's like a type of show that sort of exists that I enjoy more in Asian media than like Western media, because Western media does this thing of, we have a TV show and we want it to get extended as many seasons as possible, and we're just gonna like completely ruin the storyline because we just need it to run for like 20 years. And I'm like, I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate the shows that just go like on and just like the plot is garbage and like needs
unlike
to stop.
One Piece,
Yeah.
Yeah, unlike One Piece that's been going like 23 years.
Yeah, no, that's not an example of that.
Yeah. But a lot of C dramas and K dramas are very much like, they're like one season, it's like 20 to 50 episodes and it's just done. And I enjoy that a lot more as like a watching experience type thing. So
I don't blame you.
Yeah. For me, I never really got into K dramas or C dramas or any of that. My entire thing was I was into anime, I got into J-rock, and then from there I kind of got into J-pop. I had this weird Vocaloid phase for like 3 months, and then I
had a
realized
Vocaloid phase too.
I think every anime fan has had a Vocaloid phase for at least
I don't know if I've gone there yet. Maybe.
Have you not gone there yet?
I don't think
you'll
I
get
have.
there.
I'll get
You'll
there.
get there.
You'll get there eventually.
You'll listen to Miku, and then you'll be like, she's kind of whack. Let me find a better one. And then
is that the
Hatsune Miku? Yeah.
Is that the like
Teal,
she's like
twin
a
tail. Yeah.
She's like
completely
she's not
a
real.
hologram.
She's,
Yeah, she's a hologramic.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not real.
I went to a full Vocaloid concert before, so
I kind of enjoyed it
it's
from the shadows.
It's a real cool experience. To be
I can
honest,
imagine.
but,
Yeah. So I had a weird Vocaloid phase, and then I had like this weird, like, you know, just trying to listen to like anime openings, and then being like, oh, I kind of don't hate the artists, and then trying to getting into like real J-pop, and then a friend of mine was listening to like, you know, Twice and that kind of stuff, and then I was like, oh, I've heard about Twice, and I didn't really know who they were, and then I got BTS on YouTube recommended, and then it all kind of amalgamated into this one thing, and then I just jumped in. So it was like definitely
YouTube. It's like you watch one K-pop video on YouTube, and then you just get like 50 more recommended to you immediately,
and then you just
That
your
you
life
just go down
collapses,
the
and now
rabbit
you're
hole, and then
making
your life is never
now
the
you're
same
making
again.
a podcast about anime and K-pop, and you don't
Yep.
know what's wrong with you.
Yeah. I think for me, when it comes to this, I think it all kind of stemmed from when I was younger. Like as a kid, it probably started from like when I watched Mulan as a kid. And I was just like, whoa, that's cool. And then it just kind of compounded. You know, I see a couple episodes of Pokemon. I played some of those video games. And of course, you got stuff like Mario Party and whatnot. And then I think the very first movie that I remember, anime movie, was at a friend's birthday party. I think it was for like 9th or 10th birthday. And she insisted on watching it. And like, I think a good chunk of us were just like, we don't know. But like, she eventually got her way. And it was Howl's Moving Castle. And I was just like, whoa, this is really good. It's like a 9 or a 10-year-old. And so from there, it just kind of been like one of those things where I just occasionally dip my toes into it. I can't really think of, I don't know which show I really completed first that I really enjoyed. It might have been, I know Cardcaptor Sakura was one back in the day. Anohana was another one too when that came out, but that was when I was in high school. But it's one I've definitely caught up on like most of the Ghibli movies, and there was just something that I dipped my toes into like, you know, once in a while, just be like, okay, I'm in a mood for 2D animation, because like real talk, I'm not a big fan of 3D animation in movies as much. Like I very much prefer 2D animated, and I'm like, Disney, I wish you did more 2D animation, but that's okay. Whatever. That's a whole other rant for another day. But like anime, that's not to say anime doesn't have 3D effects in a lot of their shows. You know, because they do, you know, especially now that a lot of stuff's done digitally. But, like, a lot of it still has, like, that 2D look to it, and that's like what I, like, enjoy, and I miss that, like, from what's, like, because it's not really that common, except for, like, certain comedy TV shows where there's, like, that 2D animation look, I feel like. So, I mean, I think it's starting to, actually, it might be starting to appear a little bit more in some of their shows targeted towards kids, but I feel like it's still not as common.
It's definitely a kid thing, not like a, you know, genuine. I mean, there's obviously like the American Dad and like that kind of style of content, which is like, or like, you know, South Park, like that, like adult content that's like 2D animated, but it's different. It's not like, you know, like anime uses that art form of drawing in the thing, whereas I think that's just like a medium in Western.
Exactly. Like
it's like, you can definitely see like an artistry.
The only
in
adult
the
content
show.
you get from like the American side too is like the like stupid like raunchy comedy type shows anyway.
You know,
that's
like
not to
Rick and Morty,
that's not to say that there
like
isn't raunchy comedy in anime though. Because there is, but it's not in every single show. You know,
you get like more just like I'm trying to think like a like more mature content from anime that isn't just that, like, because one of the things that just comes to mind first is like the show Black Lagoon. That's literally just about like the black market, and it's just like a Yakuza like mafia show, and it's like you definitely don't want like children watching it because
or like
just...
Berserk, you know, or like even JoJo's gets really messed up sometimes. It's like you can have that, but it's still like, you know, either a manga or like an anime where it's like, you know, it's very, 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 like, not for kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I don't know how it happened, because I also heard of, like, a couple, like, Japanese songs as well, particularly because of Kingdom Hearts. Utada Hikaru, OG, legend right there, love her. She has great music outside the songs she's done for the Kingdom Hearts series, too, by the way, so listen to her stuff.
Sorry, I had to. It's in my contract. It's in my contract.
Where's your contract?
Every time that's mentioned. Oh my god.
No, I'm sorry. I have to say it. Simple Clean's great, but like, fam, I'm a Sanctuary chick all day, every day, because Kingdom Hearts 2 slaps.
Yep.
But they also the music too that she did for 3 was pretty good as well, both of them. But but it's like stuff that I've dabbled in over time, and then eventually K-pop just seemed to be kind of like that natural progression, because it was just like, oh, you dabble into this kind of stuff. When you're younger, you kind of are like, oh, hey, this is kind of familiar, even though it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of familiar. And it was like, it started with my cousin showing me a couple K-pop songs one day, because she had people from her middle school or high school or whatever who were from Korea, who definitely were chaebols, who gave her like a CD of songs that were popular at the time. And, one was Girls' Generation's O, which was like the very first one. Then the other one was Hyun's Bubble Pop. And, from there, it was like that sat in my head for a little bit. And then, time passed, Gangnam Style happened, time passed. And then I found Girls' Generation songs randomly one day in the summer of 2013. And then it just kind of spiraled out from there, from all the other SM artists, and then eventually BTS in October that year, and it hasn't been the same since. And now I'm getting back into anime because of a pandemic and Avatar: The Last Airbender. So thank you. Yeah. It's a cycle. It's just like, for some reason,
it really is.
For some reason, I can't. There's something about the way that music is done from that region of the world, and like the way they do shows, particularly the shows, the animated shows and movies, that just is somehow very appealing to me. Like the way they tell their stories, the way they use animation.
Yeah, it is very just general story structure is so different. But I think I definitely like it better. I think even the generic stuff, even though it is generic, I think it just has more complex storytelling just in general. And even because I barely see, like, I think Game of Thrones is the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that's like stupidly over complex for the sake of being over complex, but like you get that so often,
and that's like because it's like based off of a book too, and the book it has like a freaking however many long book series that are like 800 pages
stupid.
A piece. Yeah,
and that's the only reason why, because if you watch like freaking Grey's Anatomy or something, it's very basic, like how many like different plot lines are happening at the same time, but then like the generic anime is going to have how many like freaking stupid plot lines on top of each other at the same time. I think it's just the complexity of it, I think, just lends itself. I don't know. I think I just enjoy the more complex stories than, the more basic stories, because it's like, I don't know, the dumb love triangles / the dumb, like, this is suspension of belief for stupid plots, I think is just way more fun.
I also think it's the way they do character development too. For certain like shows, it's how they define characters that just feel realistic. Like, was one in particular, Sengatsu no Line, or March Comes in Like a Lion. I think they do such a good job with character development in that show.
I think that's just like a thing, right? Because like sports anime just exists as like it's character
like
progression. Yeah, it's like a trope that like, oh, let's do character progression. Like, that's just, like, a thing that exists. That's just a generic, like,
but even with, like, not even the main
story.
Characters, like, random... Yeah,
exactly.
Like, not completely
like Haikyuu. Like, one of my favorite sports anime is Haikyuu. And it's, like, the exact same, where it's just, like, let's just develop all of these characters, a.k.a. they get better at volleyball. But also, they just, they develop. And it's, like, the generic plot line is, they get stronger.
We're playing
and
a sport, and we're gonna like watch them as they like get better and like grow.
Yeah, that's like, the reason I think I love One Piece so much, is because I've read 988 pages, like chapters, of this story of these like dumb characters, like over time, and I go back and rewatch like episode 2, and it's like, wow, this character is so stupid. I hated them; they were the worst, and now they're like my favorite character. So it's like, it's definitely like a thing in anime.
Progression, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite thing to be like, watch, like, I had a friend of mine who like started One Piece, and they got to the episode where this character got introduced, and he was like, oh my gosh, he's so stupid, I hate him. And I was like, yeah, he kind of sucks, right? And it's like, that's my favorite character. And it's like, because it's just like the complete 180 that the character makes is like one of my favorite things. And it's like, oh, this character's really dumb, he's just not good, I hate him. It's like, and then it's like, wait, no, I love him. He's my favorite. He's so cute. Oh my god, I love him. So it's the same thing.
But yeah,
The anime also just has this like weird trope of like just having shows that are like really sad that you're just gonna like watch if you want to cry.
Vibe.
True.
I love that.
Like if there's
like I can't off the top of my head think of like anything even similar to that exists in like Western media.
I don't think Western media just makes crying shows.
No,
I don't think they
not
do.
Really.
But anime definitely just has crying.
Just like
shows.
this is just gonna make you cry.
And it's designed just
that is
to
all. Yeah, Anohana.
extract.
I'm just gonna keep
tears.
saying Anohana because Anohana.
Your
and
Line
actually,
April.
Sangatsu no Line too. Like
Yeah, I think
that show
Angel
makes
Beats
me
also
cry.
does that.
Yes,
We've talked about watching a silent voice like together.
Oh my
just
God.
to like cry the entire
We just
time.
need
Yeah,
to
that
cry
made me
together.
tear up. I agree. That movie made me tear up. That was a good movie.
Yeah, there's definitely just cry things. It's just like let's just do this together. Let's just experience this. I think I've cried more from One Piece than I have any Western media put together, because I've cried during One Piece like dozens of times.
You've also consumed like a stupidly large amount of One Piece too.
That's true,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
true.
think One Piece versus age 0 to like 16. So it's like, yeah, I've consumed a decent amount of Western media, and I think I've cried in Western media like a handful of times. And One Piece, I've cried more than a dozen times just because of that show, and like the investment I have in those characters now. So, yeah, I don't know. I love how this just devolved into us just talking about why we love anime.
Why we love our shows that we love.
So, Kayla, are you gonna start watching anime again?
Nope.
Damn it, Kayla.
Come on.
Come on, join the dark side. Embrace your inner geek.
I'm already back into like gaming a little bit, so like.
Oh yeah, you bought Fire Emblem, which is a weeb game.
It is. I love it. I love it so much. I definitely play Japanese video games a lot. So like that's like
Same.
a step towards anime a little bit.
Same. It's definitely a vibe.
But anyways, so this was our K-pop and anime episode, which was a little bit all over the place, but that's fine.
That's how this podcast
That's how
works.
this podcast works as a whole.
Basically.
But and also as we alluded to in the episode is that this is just like kind of a podcast about everything now relating to Asian media
And not Asian media, because we made a Avatar episode.
you
But
know
that's
what, it's fine.
It's connected. It has been heavily
it is-
influenced.
it has
by...
Korean animators, it's fine.
Yeah, so it counts. That's our excuse.
Thanks for watching this episode. Follow us on Twitter, and we have recently opened an Instagram as well, which is going to be
Yes.
our collective K-pop collection Instagram. So, if you're interested in that at all, I am linking our Instagram in all of our video descriptions now. And then
Our Spotify is still MIA. We have no idea what's going on. We
I
attempted-
have no idea what's happening with getting the podcast on Spotify. We like sent that in like at this point like 2 months ago and just have heard nothing. So
Jeez,
we don't know if we have to
the
reapply
podcast is
/
just in the
fix it.
void.
Our
Jeez.
Spotify application is in the void, so we do not know what's going on.
I might actually have to complain about that soon, but
Okay.
Jeez.
other than that, we're on Apple Podcasts and Anchors instead of Spotify. If you want to listen on either of those accounts or just continue to watch on YouTube, where we also now post extra like video compilations every week.
Mm-hmm. Those have
But
been
yeah.
a lot of fun.
Those have been a lot of fun. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye!
Bye-bye.
Bye.